Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Just Seen motherfucking podcast. And today, as you've seen from the title, we're gonna be talking about vision. Now, I'm not talking about like physical vision, like whether motherfucker blind or not. But uh, at the time of me actually recording, I don't know what the subtitle is, but I know that I'm talking about vision. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because something that I usually say on this podcast a lot. So I'm like, yo, you see what I'm saying? And in saying you see what I'm saying a lot, I be like, I don't know, it just kind of got me thinking. So I kind of woke up from not a dream, but like I woke up from a space of looking at life the way people view their vision. And one thing that I've learned, we're talking about imagination, we're talking about different things like that. And when it comes to vision, it's like sometimes people can't see what you're saying. And I'm not talking about y'all in general, but it expanded on, what it actually meant to have vision. You feel what I'm saying? Some people can see what you can see. Some people can't see what you can see. Some people don't think what you see is visible. You feel me? And it's a world that we live in, and it's a picture that we often paint that makes us second guess ourselves. Sometimes it can make us overhype ourselves because we think we could see better than somebody and different things of that nature. But it's like you can only process what somebody else is explaining to you through what you have the availability of resources to visualize it with. You know what I'm saying? That's something that I ain't gonna say I never considered. Well, I did never consider it, but I never considered in the context that I took it for granted. I really took it for granted because going into things like vivid imagination, I was talking to somebody about it. It was like, yo, you have a very vivid imagination. I'm like, I know, but my imagination is vivid not because I'm like creative or no shit like that, but because I'm knowledgeable. You feel me? I study a lot. I learn a lot. I consume a lot of images to store in my nation. You feel what I'm saying? So, so when I'm explaining something to somebody, I'm explaining it from a specific place within my imagination where I think it's the easiest way to get this message across. You see what I'm saying? And then equally, people can explain shit to me and I just get it because I can go where their mind is going because I have something compartmentalized there. You feel what I'm saying? But as I be talking to people sometimes and I be trying to explain and I see that little glazed over look on them like, and I used to wonder, it's like, oh, they're that confused look. No, they're trying to access something in their imagination to see what you're saying. And it got to a point where I was like, yo, what if you don't have what if you don't have what's in my mind that I'm trying to get you to see? So when we consider like communication, when we consider things like that, it's largely tied to our vision because when somebody's explaining something to us or telling us a story or whatever the case may be, all these things, there has to be something in us to draw on it. So I always wondered why, like, when I'm having conversations with motherfuckers and they start talking about shit that I'm not talking about, but I'm like, how the fuck we get here? Because they're drawing on the only thing that connects to what I'm talking about. And for some people, rather than adding on to their imagination, they want to keep their imagination where it is, which means that they equally want to keep their vision the same. You feel what I'm saying? And in keeping their vision the same, they will literally block out certain things. And that's why conversations change. That's why subjects change. That's why they have to go to a whole nother place and say, hold up, I'm not there. So I'm not going to go there because now this is going to require me to take in different things to develop to shape my imagination, which gives me a different vision. You feel what I'm saying? So what I'm saying that what that really brought me to was that as I'm listening to a lot of people talk and everybody got the same vision, bro. Like when I look at the a lot of the podcast spaces, when I look at a lot of the shit, like why are we talking about the same thing? Because we got the same imagination, because we got the same vision, because we put the same shit in our head and we see it the exact same way. That's scary. That's scary to know that as humans, We have gotten to a programmed state to where we can see things the exact same way. Now, don't get me wrong. It's good to be able to see things as another person seen them, but your life does not give you the same filter that my life gave me. So it's important that I have enough resources to be able to tell you, hey, this is how I see what I see. You'll never see how I see because you're not given the very things that filter your vision the way mine is filtered. You feel what I'm saying? But we often let our ego get involved. We often put certain things in position to make us say, hey, you know what, homie? Look, I got it like this, and this is how I'm going to have it. You know what I'm saying? And in that, it's like, that's where communication barriers happen. That's where a lot of this plays out because it's like, does the person really have the filter to see what you're saying? We talk about filters with social media all the time. People putting filters on their picture to look better, right? Or to clean certain shit up. What filters do we have within our imaginations to give us better vision? And that's like with life. And that's where we're gonna be going at. But before I dive into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram @just_scene_. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not the episode, but the podcast itself. And as always, Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And you know the vibes. That's that for this and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into vision. Oh, we're going to dive into vision, the filter of understanding. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So For Real series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right. Welcome back. Ow. And before I dive into this episode, I know y'all noticed that it sounds a little bit different and shit, right? This is something that I've been working on for a long time, getting my vocal signal chain down. Because I used to just record my podcast episode directly into the website because they're like, all right, bet, save efficiency of time, we'll do the mixing and shit for you. And so I didn't really care. I just like to clip it and cut it and stuff, but this is going to be a little bit simpler. But I've really been working on my vocal chain since I've been, getting back into my music and shit, mixing it, cleaning it up and everything like that. So what you hearing is my new vocal chain. So all of my jam sessions and shit, I did a little, I had to put the feedback on my shit, had to drop some just so I can get, the momentum going and say, all right, this is what you need to fix. This is what you need to clean up, blah, 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 blah. So now I got a signal flow and now I put it on my podcast. So that's why it sounds dramatically different because I'm not recording in the website. It's not just going straight into the mic and I'm allowing them to do the final pieces. I'm actually doing all of the mixing, but because it's a vocal chain, I just throw the whole bitch on and I only have to do small minor tweaks now because, I like effectiveness and efficiency. So it's only small minor tweaks now that I have to really do once the shit is done. And now it saves me a little bit more time. So now it's like, although that was time saving, now I get a little bit more time and I get better quality with what I'm doing. So yeah, that's why I sound different. If you notice, like, you feel me, that hum ain't in the back, you know what I'm saying? It's called a proximity effect. I learned a lot of shit within this time while I was getting these things together, right? It's wild. But yeah, this is where, things are going to be changing so far. And I was going to ultimately save it for, and I'm talking so much about it because it ties into vision, but I was ultimately going to save it for season 12, but I got too excited once I did it, and I was like, all right, bet. But in season 12, there's also going to be other additions like new commercials, new beats and shit like that. All of that stuff I just had to get my shit on point so I can just execute and go. You feel me? But that's why I sound a little different. So, but yeah, let's hop back into the vision. So, the real conversation that I was having with this, and like, of course, it came in as a dream, but I'm thinking back to the moment when I'm starting to see it. Like, when I have conversations with people, oftentimes when I'm saying some shit that I know they don't get, they squint at me. What the fuck you squinting for? And I know the squint is I'm trying to understand, but now I'm learning because physically, like, we talk about metaphysics all the time, especially the woke people, conscious community. And it's not a shit on them. I still fuck with the conscious community, the real conscious community. I'm not the commercialized motherfucker. I fuck with the motherfuckers that are really down for awareness and are really trying to grow the ascension of people and shit. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm not fucking with the people who are looking for a sense of belonging to stroke the egos and shit. No, I don't fuck with that. But I do still fuck with the conscious community, right? So in the metaphysics of it all, when we can't see something physically, we'll squint our eyes or we'll move our eyes a certain way. But we also do the same thing mentally and spiritually. When something is not visible to us on those spaces too, our eyes glaze over or our eyes will squint when we're trying to understand. There's certain facial features facial things that happen. You probably seen it when you're talking to motherfucker. You be looking at him, you be like, midway conversation, you be explaining to something to somebody, like, why you looking at me like that? Because they're not just physically trying to understand you or see what you're saying. You feel what I'm saying? Because again, now when we understand the nervous system is pretty much how the soul is invigorated. But when we're in that space and we're looking from, here's what I have, and here's where I am, right? Now I'm trying to filter and see what you're saying, and I'm trying to find it in my mind. You feel what I'm saying? This is why when you have conversation with somebody, they'll hear a couple of the words. This is why you have to understand real words and definitions and shit. But they'll hear a couple of the words. And you be like, why did you change the conversation? That's not what the fuck I was talking about. You get frustrated at times, but that is what you were talking about to them. Because life has allowed their vision to filter it that way. So this is how they see it. You feel what I'm saying? So as you're expressing it to them, they see it this way. So I'm having a conversation with somebody and we're kind of flowing. And I looked and I'm like, and this is something that I learned about body language. Like, a lot of people don't know how to speak body language fluently. So BB think of body language is, first let me talk about eye contact before I get into body language, before I continue on to this. We think eye contact is just staring at a motherfucker in their eyes. No, eye contact is using your eyes to contact the vessel you're looking at. So it now goes into body language. You use eye contact to scan the entire body as you speak. Now, this ain't to say stare at the titties and shit when you're looking at a woman and shit. Like, no, I look at, like, when I be hearing people say, it's hard to keep her eye. No, it's not. I look at I float through all of it. You know what I'm saying? Specifically, when I'm actually maintaining eye contact, I float between the eyes and the mouth. Right? Typically, a lot of us do. It's natural. We float between the eyes and the mouth because we're seeing what you're saying and we're making sure it's consistent. Body language. A lot of people don't know that that's what we're doing. That's why it's like, as I'm looking you in your face and I'm looking in your eyes, I'm going to float between your mouth and your eyes. Is what you're saying consistent with what you're thinking? Are you trying to deceive me? Or are you able to look at me? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people can't. You know what I'm saying? But that is a sign of body language. So as you're scanning the whole body, you're noticing, okay, damn, this person's folding their arms up. This person, this, that, and the third. This person drifting off. They looking at their phone. Some people now because we don't understand we don't understand body language the way we once did as an actual form of language that we should pay attention to. People have to now create the body language to say, I'm not paying attention to this shit no more. They'll look at their phones. They'll start singing. They'll put their earphones in. It's a lot of shit. But on a basic level, when you're in the flow, what I mean basic, on a deeper level, like I said, the more metaphysical level, when you're in the flow of conversation with somebody and you're looking at the motherfucker and they completely glaze over, they checked out. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes our ego gets involved and we still want to keep talking and shit. I shut the fuck. Oh, you're not listening. Oh, why you stop talking? I be hating when that shit happen because I'm that attuned to it that when I know you're not paying attention to me, I stop talking about why you stop talking. What the fuck you mean why I stop talking? I can see that you're not paying attention. I don't waste my words. Oh, no. And then it goes into, I was just doing this. No, that ain't got shit to do with me. You feel what I'm saying? It is what it is. Now, with this conversation that I was having with this individual, we were talking about something deep. You know what I'm saying? When I say something deep. And At first they flowing because they can see what I'm saying. And I noticed they folded their arms, they looked back, and then they got a little squint on their face. It didn't make me stop talking and say, okay, you're trying to see what I'm saying. You're trying to see what I'm saying. And usually the person would always interject and try to say, yeah, I know. But they shut the fuck up this time because there was nothing in there for them to filter through what I was saying. They were trying hard to grasp and pull things through. That often happens when we're having having any kind of conversation with somebody. So what made it worse was that in what I was expressing, because I have a gift. I ain't even gonna say it's a gift. I gotta stop saying that shit because a lot of people be thinking that when we got like our only gift is life. We do whatever the fuck we want to do with it. Some people choose to enhance their life, some people don't. Some people choose to go down this dynamic, some people don't. So everybody can do what the fuck I'm doing. You feel what I'm saying? They just choose not to. So I have accumulated, let me say that. I have acquired so much imagination. I have put so many things into the nation of my images that I'm able to give you any message that you need to receive. You feel me? If something is unclear to you, I can make it clear to you by knowing who you are. You feel me? If I know you enough and I know the things that you're into and I know the things that you like, I can give you a message that is catered to you. You feel what I'm saying? Because I'm like, oh, you like this, that, and the third? Boom, boom, boom. I can explain it. I get it. I know you get it because I know how to make it associate to where you. I have accumulated so much that my vision allows me to filter things out through a way that is visible. You see what I'm saying? But I have to factor in, I'm learning to factor in that everybody doesn't have my vision because everybody doesn't have my imagination. You feel me? A lot of times we look at vision when we tell people, you know, what's your vision for this? What's your vision for that? Like when people can psych you out of your vision because they can convince you that their imagination is more vivid than yours. You don't know that it's what they're doing. They'll tell you something can't be done. You're visibly seeing it in your head, but you're not associating it to the fact that I'm seeing this according to my imagination, not yours. You feel what I'm saying? So as I'm explaining it to this person, they sitting back and it's like, I can't refute what you're saying because you're giving me this information the way in which I know that what you're saying, it can't be wrong. And I'm understanding it, but it's like now I'm torn. This is why you have belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. But now I'm torn because it's like I see what you're saying. And when they say seeing is believing, but now it's like I see what you're saying and it's conflicting with what I believe. You see what I'm saying? When you can get somebody to see something that conflicts with what they believe, that's one of the same thing. This is why they say seeing is believing. Because the moment I can get you to see it in your mind, I can now start moving you through the processes of the mind. We stop at belief. We stop at belief. This is where, you have the gaslighters and the shit like that. Like all of that shit is I ain't gonna say stupid, but it's all forms of psychology. The therapy and all the shit that we go through is all psychology. And we're dealing with it from a perspective of, hey, homie, this shit it is what it is. You feel what I'm saying? But psychology is the study of the spirit, not necessarily the study of the mind. But the mind is the bridge between the spirit and the body. You feel me? Will and action. It's your thoughts. So as you have a vision, right? Your vision can only be given to you according to your imagination. You feel what I'm saying? When I tell people I get downloads, when I tell people I have visions and shit like that, here's exactly what I mean. I don't want you to feel like I'm a mystical being, I'm a sage, I'm a prophet, because I am those things, but I'm none of those things. Let me explain what they are. A prophet is simply someone who understands the past, has a working knowledge of the present, and can anticipate the future. It's not hard. It's not hard to do. If your imagination is vivid enough, you feel what I'm saying? And you're that attuned to what the fuck is going on in the present moment, predicting the future ain't hard. Because you have the capacity to see into the future. Seeing into the future is not necessarily about, some mystical shit. No, it's about having enough information of enough history to generate the mystery or to shatter the illusion of the mystery. You see what I'm saying? When COVID hit and I was telling people about, the Spanish flu of 1918 and how everything that happened then is happening now. It was like y'all, we be good if y'all just stand firm. But you got to understand, everybody's imagination can't filter the vision the same way. So I'm literally dealing with, and I mean, I'm around people who are saying, yo, this is going to get bad. Why? Because the news said it was going to get bad. Okay, well, it's going to get bad for you. Now, I'm not going to say this is the placebo effect, but a lot of it, COVID was real. Like, motherfuckers was really getting sick. Something was really in the air fucking with people, right? But even deeper than that, it was real because the way the imagination played out, it helped weaken the immune system. Whether you thought you were going to get sick or not, you knew you would get sick. You feel what I'm saying? It wasn't just, see, when people be like, there's power, life, and death in tongue, I got to explain what that means because it does tie into vision as well. You feel me? You have to be, it's not enough just to speak the shit. You have to know what you're speaking, which means that when you draw on something within your head, within your imagination, you're creating the vision and you're speaking that vision. It's tied to something tangible and powerful. That's what gives it realness. You feel me? It becomes motivational speech or inspirational speech when you're just speaking it with no imagination. So, for example, you ever went to, I was in an MLM at one point in time, but then when you go to these MLMs, what do they do? Yo, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. It sounds good on paper. It sounds good on paper, but they're speaking from their own internal imagination. This is why when they give you the stories and like, yo, this is what I did, this is what I did, you're not me. I don't tell nobody, like, I had to get out of that shit because it becomes cult-like, because I'm not going to tell you that you could do you're not me. You'll never be me. And I mean that with the absolute most modesty. You will never be me, good or bad. You feel what I'm saying? I'm already 33 years in this game. You would literally have to start as I was at 0, coming out of the womb. You will never be me. Therefore, you will never be able to filter life through a vision that I have. Because there's a lot of factors that are playing into this. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we don't realize how vivid our imagination is. We don't know how vast our imagination is. Even if you was a corny motherfucker, stayed on the porch, you didn't live life, you didn't do shit. Even if you didn't do nothing in life, you just, I don't know, you followed the rules and you was obedient all motherfucking life, you still have a vivid imagination. Because you witnessed things, you saw things, you this, that, and the third. Now, speaking of that, you have the people who, watch what happened, the people who, you have the people who wonder what happened, the people who watch what happened, and people who made it happen. Each one of these people have different levels of imagination. You feel what I'm saying? The motherfucker watching LeBron versus the motherfucker playing against LeBron, they have it like, this is why it be getting me like, I love the new podcast space for the basketball players and shit. When it's like the basketball players are telling about, yeah, like, when we look at, it's funny, but it's real. We do this shit just for, I guess for the sport of the game and shit. For an average motherfucker to call an NBA player sorry, I don't give a fuck how he could be sorry, you know what I'm saying, in context with other NBA players. But niggas in the NBA, you couldn't even get off the you was red shirted in college. This motherfucker's in the NBA. Like, you dig what I'm saying? Certain things is like, when you can't really separate fantasy from reality, that's going to affect your imagination as well. So we be giving ourselves credence to say, hey, this motherfucker trash. Like, how? Nigga, how really? How you gonna call that motherfucker trash, bro? You feel me? He's in the NBA. You see what I'm saying? But again, with that logic, some people will try to critique a reality that they never experienced. So for somebody to say LeBron James, is trash, and then you hear another basketball player say, nah, bro, he different. Like, you can't argue with the motherfucker that played against him. Even deeper than that, you can't argue with him. Like, sometimes we have to look at, and this is where it comes into, they want us to be humble. They want us to be all of these different things, because what they don't want you to acknowledge is the power you have in your imagination. The power you have in the essence of your vision, because it's tied to everything that you've experienced, what you've seen in this world. You feel what I'm saying? They want us to be afraid of what we've seen. They literally want us to be afraid of what we've seen. Therefore, you can't create anything real. Or anything that's tangible, anything that's good and beneficial for the world. Because all you know is what you saw. Now, what you've experienced and what you've grown from and what you like, that helps mold your vision and what you're able to see because of your imagination. So this is what I mean by that. Your imagination is not something that's just about fairies and rainbows and unicorns and shit. No, it's the nation of your images. Everything that you've accumulated up until this point that you constantly see on a regular basis. That's your imagination. That's your imagination. So they want your imagination so tainted that you don't have a vivid imagination, or that you're not able to have a higher vision or a stronger vision. This whole, the whole, this, this is what I hate about how woke we got. You feel me? And this is why they was able to gentrify the shit, because of how woke we got. Motherfuckers made it a belief system, and that's what fucked them up. The third eye shit, oh, my third eye chakra. Your third eye chakra is supposed to allow you to have the full vision to use your imagination. That's what that means. It doesn't suddenly mean you can see into people. You're that intuitive and this, that, and the third. No, you're so quick at drawing on your imagination that the world is not an illusion to you anymore. So it makes it easy for your crown chakra to open, because once your crown chakra is open, you no longer have earthly attachment. Because I know that all of this shit is fleeting. The shit that happened to me when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, that shit will never happen to me again. You know why? Because it happened when I was 7 years, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years. It happened because I was 7, 8, and 9 years old. Sometimes we don't look at that when we're storing things into our imagination. Like, and this is why the therapy sessions that we go through, I'm not saying don't go through therapy, but it's not designed to give you tools. It's designed to help you find a way to get medicated. You feel what I'm saying? Not solving a problem. Because one of the key points that they're not teaching you is about time. And when I say time, I mean in the context of the experience and why it happened and why it can never happen again. And it's only happening because you're reliving it in your mind. Your imagination is causing your vision to see it in real life on a regular basis. You experienced it one time, and now your mind is allowing you to see it all the time. So when people are like, why do I keep going into these relationships? Why do I keep doing this? Because your imagination says you're supposed to. You've already internalized that. You feel what I'm saying? So when we go through certain situations in life, we like, yo, this happened when I was this age. But it also happened because you were that age. I know it's going to seem like a little bit of paradox, and it seems like it doesn't tie into this episode, but it does. The shit that happened when you were 6, it happened because you were 6. Change the way in which you look at the things that you've internalized in your life. Things that happened, it happened because you were that age. That's why it won't happen again at this particular point. Now, whether it scarred you, whether you're jaded from it and shit like that, it's like, well, see, what about those things that are unforeseen circumstances that we just, you saying this happened because I was 6? Yeah, largely. Largely, even to some of the most grandiose things that happened, that experience happened because we were the age we were. Because we were in that time, because everything that we accumulated up until that point, and everything the entities around us had accumulated at that point, allowed for that merger to happen. I'm not going to say things are right. I'm not going to say things are wrong. I'm not going to say any of those things. But I'm going to say this is what happens when your imagination has already been built in a way that makes your vision create a reality for you to see life as you're supposed to. This is why a lot of people don't have accountability. Because they think that what happened or what is happening is supposed to happen. You feel what I'm saying? And so they say, well, this happened to me. Right? And it's stored in their imagination. So everything going forward is now created. Their vision is now filtered with that in mind. Like, you don't forget anything that you've obtained in this world. You may not think about it anymore, but you don't forget it because it's now compounding into the layers that develop your imagination, that create the vision, that creates your reality. You feel what I'm saying? When you fell off the bike when you were 2, I don't know if you were riding bikes at 2. I don't know. I'm just saying shit. When you fell off the bike when you were 2, I use a more specific example with myself, because I did get hit by a car when I was 17 months old. I had an innate fear, I had a deep-seated fear of crossing the streets. I had a deep-seated fear of cars. Never knew why. But somehow within me, I don't know if it's a gladiator in me, whatever the case may be, or my spirit was just trying to get me right, I always worked around cars. You feel what I'm saying? I sold cars, I parked cars. Like a heavy part of my adult life centers around cars in some way, shape, or form. You see what I'm saying? But even that, like I said, I have a deep fear. I remember it was pointed out to me when I was in undergrad. Like when you cross the street, why do you look so many times? There's like I said, cuz man, I don't know. Then I started thinking about it. I got hit by a car when I was a kid. 17 months old, I got ran over by a car. I'm afraid of cars, nigga. The fuck? But I never was afraid of them because that moment happened. Now, this is how things imprint into our soul and help develop our vision, right? Your vision is how you see. Your vision is how you see. But it's how you see based off of everything that is in your mind already. Like, we don't see through our two eyes. This is why they say you got two eyes to see, one eye. Like, this is what the third eye shit is. You have to understand how deep your imagination really is in order to have the real vision to filter out life in a healthy way. Some of us have never seen a healthy life in any way, shape, or form. So our imagination has stored so much trauma that we can't visually see pain. I mean, we have internalized trauma so much to our imagination that we cannot envision joy. Shit hard. When you start to feel joy, you might want to low-key sabotage it. You don't even know that that's what you're doing. It's sabotaging it. And it's not that you're sabotaging it just because you don't have anything within your imagination to make sure you sustain it. You feel what I'm saying? Vision becomes a heavier reality when you understand how deep it really is. You know what I'm saying? Nobody will ever see your vision until you're comfortable in articulating your full self. When you're at a point where you're trying to explain something to somebody, or somebody, like when you're at a point where you're trying to explain something to somebody, but you say, I just can't explain it, you don't have an imagination for it, which means you don't have any experience for what it is that you're talking about. So you have to ask yourself, do you really know what you're talking about? This is why I be telling people, even mentioned in one of the Soul Frails, I think it was Soul Frail 3. I was like, you got to ask yourself, do you know what you know, or do you know what you've been told? And have you been told it for so long that it's created the belief in your mind? You see it as belief. You don't see it as experience. You feel me? I had a homie when I was doing the MLM. He was like, yo, I want to get to a point where I can speak with the conviction that you speak with. You can't. Not about what I talk about. He's like, yo, you're just so matter of fact. And it's like, cause I only speak about the facts that I know, which means I only speak on what the fuck my imagination holds. I don't just be out here pulling shit out of my ass and shit. Like, one of the reasons why this podcast episodes, whenever I have them, can go for an hour and a half, 2 hours long, is because I'm not telling y'all thinking about shit that's like I'm telling y'all what I see, but I'm telling y'all everything that I've developed from my imagination. So yeah, it will draw on certain stories and shit like that I learned, but some of the shit that I've learned is a lesson that I don't even remember the story. I couldn't recall the story, but it's still in my imagination. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not out here. I don't have to do the gender war shit because again, what vision do you have? I don't have to do the gender war shit because I was already on both sides of the gender war. I was the good guy. I was the bad guy. That's why I'm like, yo, I can tell y'all of my experiences and it's like, yo, how did you know that? Cuz I synced it, homie. I synced it. My vision allows me to see shit. So tying into vision, this is one of the reasons why it kind of gets overwhelming with people because they don't have enough imagination for what the fuck they're talking about. You feel me? And again, your imagination is not necessarily some fantasy shit. Now, because we tie imagination to fantasy so much, a lot of people can't separate the difference between fantasy and reality, but a lot of people can't live their reality because they don't know their reality is created by fantasy. I mean, they don't know their reality is created by their imagination through the filter of their vision. What can you see? You feel me? When it was time for me to become an entrepreneur, I didn't just see money. I saw a lot of the things that I had to do. And when I was tell people, yo, you can do this too, that tying it back into the MLM shit, because I think I might have said it, but I kind of got off it, but it fits here again. When you tell somebody, yo, you can do what I do, I stop telling motherfuckers that because you can't. You can't. Like, I can show you how I do this, but some shit you just can't do like I do. You feel me? I know with the EWE and Master the Market, I could teach you the template, but I can't give you the experience, homie. You feel me? There's shit that you're gonna have to see in the market yourself. I can tell you every day, every single day, take this play at this point, at this point, at this point, but you still not gonna see, you're not gonna understand why I'm able to see that until you go through that motherfucker and you acquire that conversation. Now, I mean, that experience. Now, when we talk about that experience and I'm giving you my experience, now you can see what I'm talking about. I'm gonna say that shit again. When you go through the experience and now you talk to me about the experience, now you can see what I'm talking about when I tell you my experience. But until you have the experience, you can't see what I'm talking about, which means you don't have the vision that I have. You dig what I'm saying? And this is one thing that we do in life. We try to make motherfuckers see what we see. Like, we will argue with motherfuckers on social media for making a post. And we be thinking, you like how you not like how you like I can't argue with motherfuckers no more. Cause I know y'all don't see what I see. And it's not a shot to say y'all haven't, y'all ain't as smart. And that's one of the things that always comes back to. People will say, well, you don't know everything. Well, you're not as smart as you think you are. I never said any of those things, but I know what the fuck my imagination is holding. You don't know. You don't have what my imagination is holding. That's why and when people say shit like, I've learned to respect the people who would say, you don't know everything or whatever the case may be. No, you're upset right now that you can't see what I'm explaining to you. So you try to dismiss it. That was one of the backsides and the downsides of what happened with the conscious community, because we could have broke through the wall had everybody and not tried to be smart. You feel what I'm saying? Because people look at you as you're not gaining the experience. A lot of the conscious people, a lot of the people in that time weren't gaining the experience they were talking about. They were regurgitating the information. And so when you might have said a word wrong, they'll be like, but you're using the wrong word. That's beside did you get the principle? It don't matter which word you use. Like, you feel what I'm saying? I remember one video where the bulls were arguing and shit, and dude was talking about Kundalini. He said, see, our ancestors didn't even call it Kundalini, it was Uraeus. Nigga, fuck the name. Is it the shit that travels up your spine that opens up your consciousness? But that's not what our ancestors called it. We got so wrapped up in knowing shit that we still wasn't experiencing it. You feel me? So we were speaking off different imaginations and our visions were clashing. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, when we look at these debates, when we look at these arguments, for me, I gotta tell people, I have no reason to debate nobody. I will body anybody I debate. Do you know why I will body anybody I debate? Because I have the vision of the debater. Not in the sense like I'm on some great debater type shit. No, in my imagination, I have what you have. So I can see your point. So I can add your point to my arsenal. So if I add your point to my arsenal, I debunk your shit and then I give you the other one. Like, you feel me? That's why I'm like, when it comes to religion and shit, I tell people, you don't argue with me. Don't, because I don't even have to leave the Bible to refute it. I don't even have to leave the Quran to refute it. Like, I can show you in real time, like, that, what this shit is before. And it's like, in those moments, the arrogance of people kicks in. We love to talk about other people are arrogant, but we don't understand the arrogance of ourselves because it ties to our vision. If you know that you've never seen what this motherfucker's talking about, how you gonna say this shit's wrong? That's a bit of a clusterfuck, ain't it? Like, really sit and think about it. That's a bit of a clusterfuck, because how in the world can I argue what you see in your mind? Now, you have to say things like, and this is where the system and the programming comes in. Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. Like, for the last 2 years, maybe, I've had close people to me say I have a reprobated mind. A reprobated mind, if you're not privy to it, is basically calling a motherfucker crazy. You feel me? And it's like, what makes me crazy? You feel me? And it's largely tied to their understanding of religion. I'm like, really? I'm like, how am I crazy because I understand what you don't comprehend? This is why when you hear me say shit like, I don't argue my understanding with what somebody believes. You don't see what I see. You don't have the capacity to see what I see. Your vision is nowhere near mine. We be thinking like geniuses, and like that's why I tell y'all, genius isn't what you are, it's what you have. And it's what you have based off what you put on your imagination, which gives you a better vision to see. I see a lot of shit because I'm that. I'm my imagination has been that wired and that programmed to a lot of shit. When you grow up in a space where you have to entertain yourself, when you grow up so much younger than your older siblings and shit, you kind of like have to stay age appropriate and you got to do shit for yourself. But then you get exposed to a lot more. You don't forget what you're exposed to. You just don't. You just don't. It's impossible to forget what you're exposed to. Why they try to teach us to forget that shit, I don't know. You don't. And that's where a lot of our mental health issues come in, because a lot of it is the repression of the shit that has happened to us, the traumas that have happened to us, because you don't have a positive vision when you're traumatized. You feel what I'm saying? You do not have a positive vision when you're traumatized. And as a motherfucker who's seen trauma a lot, you feel me? It took a lot for me to have a positive feeling, have a positive vision. You feel me? But even still, this is one of the reasons why when you try to, tell people that they can do better for themselves and shit, you want more for people. You can't want more for people than they have the imagination to envision what the fuck you talking about. So tying it back to the people that I was saying, like, they were like, yo, you got a reprobated mind. And I was like, how? Tell me how. Because, you feel me? I left the church before and I came back. Okay, nigga, that's because your imagination didn't obtain what my imagination obtained. And the fact that you think imagination is not a realistic part of your mind is what fucks you up. You feel what I'm saying? But this is also why when we start talking about the religion and all that shit, I'm like, you see the separation? You talking about the church, a building. I'm talking about a religion. I'm talking about how it was used to enslave us. I'm talking about the depths of the confusion and manipulation and all of the shit that's not real. I'm talking about how it ties into being a mythology and how the mythological people, the people that made it a mythology disappeared and rebranded themselves and don't tell you that you're following mythology. When we look at the Abrahamic religions, they are all delineations under Roman mythology. Nobody's talking about that. You know why nobody talks about Roman mythology? Because the Romans are ruling the world right now. That's what the whole Council of Nicaea thing was. The Romans said, we're not giving up power ever. And if we can make people believe in Christianity, we'll have it forever. This is why in the Council of Nicaea, there was Arius. Arius was talking to the people. He was like, yo, we can't do this to these motherfuckers. Like, no, this ain't real, y'all. Y'all know this is mythology. They said, all right, you don't want to co-sign it and say that it's mythology then, and you want to say that it's mythology, you don't want to say this real, we're going to excommunicate you from the church. That was big back in. If the church didn't fuck with you, you couldn't fuck with nobody. So we're going to excommunicate you from the church. They excommunicated the nigga from the church, and they said anybody that fucks with him is going to be considered heresy, and it's not real. You know why they marked it that way? Because Arius said, y'all, this is mythology, and y'all know it's mythology. Don't do that to these people. We can't tell them that this shit is real. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. They said, no, we're gonna do that because that's gonna help us rule the world. These are things that sit in my imagination. So when I'm telling a motherfucker, who only has read the book and says, no, there's no name greater than Jesus. All right, nigga, do you now know why? I ask people, is it prophecy or is it edict? No, this is the prophecy. No, it's not. It's edict, nigga. You know why? Because it's a mythology. That's why it ain't not a single year in the whole book. And the thing about the mythology is like, and this is why they always teach you in school about the Greco-Roman era. And they always teach you that the Roman Empire fell. The Roman Empire never fell, my nigga. Every empire, study it. Every empire that collapsed, their religion collapsed with them. How did the Roman Empire fall, but the Roman Catholic Church still stand? Yeah, I'm doing a dramatic pause. I want you to sit and contemplate that for a second. Every empire that has been conquered or taken over, their religion went with them. Their faith went with them. How the fuck did the Romans just disappear and their church still standing stronger than ever? These are things that are in my imagination that give me a different vision. So I don't give a fuck what a motherfucker can't see. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have the imagination to see what it is I'm talking about. So yeah, I do sound crazy. I do sound crazy to a motherfucker without the imagination to see the vision I'm talking about. It's extending beyond religion. When I go into entrepreneurship, when I'm telling motherfuckers, yo, what you think is hard to make is not hard to make. You need a job in order to sustain. No, all right, whatever. All right, I'm not going to argue with you because of what I've experienced. I know I can go to the markets and extract a certain amount of money. I know that you can. You feel what I'm saying? People will be like, yo, why are you like, I remember when I was trying to help people. This was like 2019, right? I would say, hey, y'all, make this play, put your money here. Okay, cool. Now, mind you, I got other shit that I'm doing. Why didn't you tell me you was dropping? Why the fuck are you not monitoring it? Why the fuck don't they know how to do this shit? Why the fuck are you encouraging? Why the fuck are you giving somebody tips to do something and they don't know how to do it? I can tell you all day long. And I remember the conversation when I realized it was a problem because it was like the person, this is when I realized how the person thinks and it kind of fucked me up because I was like, I thought you were smart. So the person is explaining something to somebody about stocks and shit. And I'm like, you don't even know shit about stocks. And they're like, yeah, because you got to see the best thing to do is to buy penny stocks because that's going to do this, then the third, because you can get more because those are more. Penny stocks are not safer. They're actually more volatile because they're penny stocks and people like you get, damn. I'm like, is this what it feels like? Motherfuckers have a little bit of information and then they run off with the shit as if that's the full scope of their vision. You know why? Because that is the full scope of their vision. I would have people tell me about, okay, the vagus nerve goes to the stomach. Don't stop at the diaphragm. How you gonna tell me what I read? How the fuck you gonna tell me what I saw in the fucking human body? The fuck? Like, you saw it in a book, my nigga. You saw it in the book. If you even saw that or you heard it off a third party, I seen the shit. I cut the body open to see the bitch. The fuck you talking about? Why would I argue with you with that shit? Again, I'm not gonna argue understanding what somebody believes. But a lot of times we get caught in that because we speak our visions as if we have the same imagination as a motherfucker. See how I gave you just 3 instances of shit, like from religion, med school, and different shit, like different things that I've obtained. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking to people, and this is why I always tell y'all, tenure ain't got shit to do with your experience. They teach y'all that shit in the corporate America and shit. Oh, you got experience. Oh, yo, you need experience. No, they want to see if you got tenure. When they ask you for experience on the job, they don't give a fuck about your experience. They care if you got tenure. Can you stay on the job for a long period of time? You feel me? That's why, that's that right there. Because they're going to teach you once you get on the job anyway. But that right there is why it's so hard. It's where the mind fuck is coming in. That's why it's so hard for people to graduate out of college and get jobs. Because in order to get the tenure, that's why they tell you got to do internships and shit like that. Are you willing to spend time to gain tenure in this field for nothing? No, nigga, the fuck? Bills don't stop, bitch. Fuck is you talking about? But that's why it's hard to get experience. Because they're not asking for experience, they ask you for tenure. Because you got the experience, you got the degree. The degree is your experience. But they're not looking for experience, they're looking for tenure to validate, are you going to stay here more than a year, more than 2 years, more than 3 years? You feel me? That's what they're looking for when they ask for experience. Because it's like, yo, if you already had experience, why would you leave that job? You feel me? It's not about, nigga, it's not about the actual methodology of the shit. It's not about actually having the knowledge base of the shit that you're looking at. You feel me? It's about having tenure. That's what it's always been about. Because they're not going to pay you. They don't pay you for experience. They pay you for time. You be thinking they paying you. Oh, they're paying me for all my credentials. Fuck your credentials. We don't give a fuck about your credentials. We give a fuck about your time. Because now we have to leverage. You spent this amount of time on this job. You have a different level of negotiation. But again, a lot of people aren't thinking like that because they don't have the imagination that I had. They have not seen the backside of certain shit. I used to be an account manager. See the stories. I used to be an account manager. So I used to hire people too. You feel me? I didn't hire anybody who I could afford. I mean, who I couldn't afford. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Because I started to see the budgets and shit. A motherfucker like, yo, just give somebody a job. I seen there was a motherfucker who, I had a person who applied, who was applying for the job. And I think I had like $10 an hour in the budget. You feel me? And this person was coming from 13. Person was coming from 13. I know this is gonna sound fucked up, but it's business, baby. If you don't understand this shit, that's why you are where you are. So this motherfucker was like, he was coming from like 13. And I had 10 in the budget. I could have gave him 15 though. I could have gave him 15. It's not a problem. But I had 10 in the budget. You feel me? Now, credentials, perfect credentials. I'm like, yo, if I hire this motherfucker, productivity is gonna go up. So that 13, he's gonna help make that shit right. You feel what I'm saying? If I give him 13. Or if I give him the 15. But only got 10 to spend. Somebody else applies too. Now I got two candidates. One person coming from a job where he's making 13 an hour, another person coming from a job where he's making 8. Who do you think I'm hiring for $10 an hour? The fuck? The one I can afford. Because I don't have to give him the whole 10. I can keep $1. I can keep a whole $1 an hour. You feel me? Because I'd be like, all right, look, you come in at 8, I'll give you $9.50. I know I said 10, but 50 cents. I can negotiate. I can give you $9.50. I can't give the person who's already at 13 $10. I can't. It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not paying for your experience. I don't give a fuck about your experience or your time. Like, I need your credentials. I need your tenure. Now, your tenure is also going to be tied to your hourly salary. So if you are in a space where your hour side is like, all right, Brett, bet, homie, I don't know if you're going to be good or not, but I can afford you. So I'm going to make you feel better. All right, I'll give you $2 more than what you're getting right now. You'll jump on that because you already making more. I can't tell a motherfucker I'm going to give you $3 less, nigga. I just can't. You feel me? But again, your tenure is what helps justify that. Because now, when I know that you're making 13 an hour, I know you've been there for a minute. I know you've been there for a minute. So you got the stability to stay there. You feel me? But then when you ain't on that 10, you ain't been there long enough to get that promotion. You ain't been there long enough to get that raise. You ain't been there long enough to fight for that. You feel me? So when you looking for jobs and shit, and these jobs are hiring you, they're hiring and shit, they looking for your tenure. They gonna pay you for your tenure. And your consistency and see how much longevity they can get out of you. Oh, you like working at these? Because when you move in a job, it ain't got shit to do with the level of work. You move in a job because of the money, period. They know that. Now, did you put in enough time at that other job for me to justify giving you more money to come over here? All you keep hearing is get into the markets. But do you trade or do you invest? Should you do stocks, Forex, crypto, or NFTs? My personal answer is not a single one if you don't know how to read a chart. Without knowing how to read a chart, you end up giving all your money to those who do. Do you know what a candle is? Do you know the pocket of activity? Do you know the difference between market direction and market control? If you answer no at least once, you might want to learn how to read a chart first. Learning how to read a chart will let you know if you should trade or invest and if you should do stocks, Forex, crypto, and or NFTs. It will also let you know if this is even for you or not. So visit IamJustSeen.com to learn how to read charts with my Mastering the Market course, ebooks, and webinars today. The world is changing. The question is, will you adapt with it? Fuck your experience. I'm going to teach you my way anyway. You feel me? These are things that I had to learn to see on the other side. So when I tell people like, you're not going to get the job because of this, that, and the third. Like being that I worked on the other side, when people say, yo, you got to keep applying for these jobs, I can't get a forensic job at this stage of my life. I don't have experience. Well, if you keep applying, you'll get experience. You niggas miss it. I don't have the tenure to get hired at this level. You feel me? Not that I want to, not that I need to, but the point of the matter is a lot of people are saying at some point, a job, they're mad that I don't need one. How you gonna get mad at somebody for doing something and you don't even know how they're able to do it? Now, the sad part about that is that equally with this, a lot of motherfuckers will tell you, you know what? I can do what you do. Why? Because you're doing it. Oh, you just told me you think you better than me. Now this ties into vision. This is where arrogance comes in. You feel me? It's a lot of motherfuckers right now who their vision is kind of causing them to see more than they can see within themselves. That's what arrogance is. When you literally start seeing yourself better than you are, And you know, that's why comparison is a thief of joy. I've known so many people that have fucked up their lives in many regards trying to keep up with me. Because you don't know what's in my imagination to make my vision this vibrant. So you just think, oh, because we're in proximity with each other, we can be in all kind of proximity. You still don't have my imagination. You see what I'm saying? Off rip, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Off rip, if you don't read books, you can't dance with me. You just can't. You just can't. Because I know that you're not gonna have the wherewithal and the discipline to sit down long enough to get through something. Now, when you got to get all of your information from YouTube, that's cool. YouTube scholars are dope, like, because that's quick and fast. Some people don't learn through reading all the time and shit like that. But to acquire the level of skill that I have with the shit that I have, you have to read. You have to read. So if you're thinking you just gonna jump into the shit that I jump into, it ain't gonna work. Like, for example, when I would meet women who would say, want to learn about astrology. I start like I be recommending books and shit, and they be like, "You read this?" Yeah. Damn, this shit is sticking. Like, how did you read it? So it's what I wanted to read. My imagination allows me to be able to read this fluently without it being too hard for me. When when people be like, your reading level and your ability to comprehend, it's a lot of times tied to your imagination. It's more tied to your imagination than it is your actual vocabulary. Your vocabulary enhances your imagination and allows you to articulate it. That's it. You feel what I'm saying? You're supposed to, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, everybody's imagination is up to par, but everybody just doesn't have the vocabulary to articulate their imagination. Because we think articulation is when you're smart. Oh, this person's articulate. They're smart. No, they have the wealth of vocabulary to deliver everything that's in their imagination. You feel me? That's why I study etymology. This is why I study vocabulary. This is why I study languages. This is why I study the words as a whole, because I need to understand. Because who knows what the fuck I stored in my imagination? Sometimes I'm around Hispanic people and they say some shit I don't understand. Let me look up that word or figure out what the fuck it meant. Now I can put in context what they were saying. This is why in the Bible and shit, if you read it, when it talks about speaking in tongues, it's not talking about shouted out bullshit and shit like that. No, it's talking about speaking a different language. This is why it also says when somebody's speaking in tongues, there needs to be a translator present. Why is nobody talking about that shit? That's in the book. Like, that's right there in the motherfucking book, bro. So you miss me when you say, well, that's your own individual language with God. Only God knows what you're saying, but he says you can't say these words unless a translator is present. So it's me, God, and another motherfucker. Like, how do you know our conversation if it's supposed to be an individual conversation? Because you're not understanding the mythology behind the shit. Speaking in tongues is speaking in a different language. It is not speaking some myth, like, so as it's been presented to you, yeah, speaking in tongues is enough. Speaking in tongues will sound like gibberish and babble, the Tower of Babel. It will sound like gibberish when you're speaking in a different language when you don't understand the language. But out of respect, they said you cannot speak another tongue, cannot speak in tongues around other people unless there is a translator present, so there is no confusion. Because that's how deception starts. Language is quintessential to that. But how many motherfuckers? Everybody know about speaking in tongues. How many motherfuckers don't even know that that's in the Bible? That you got to have a translator present to speak it. So it nullifies everything they say in the church. So every motherfucker that's speaking tongues and don't nobody know what they saying, they lying. Now, what's like the third commandment and shit? You feel me? Or the fourth one and some shit. Thou shalt not lie, nigga. I was just recently making a post that was saying, what was it? Withholding the truth is the same as lying. So what is manipulating the truth? Or what is not using the truth appropriately? You see what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. Like, when you are in church saying you speaking in tongues and can't nobody translate the shit and you don't even know what the fuck you saying, you lying. And that's something thou shalt not do. But again, if your imagination doesn't hold this, your vision can't see this. It just can't see this shit. So it's going to look crazy to a motherfucker who can see that shit. This is why they always say, if you hear the phrase, geniuses are crazy until they achieve what they were going to do. I looked crazy to a lot of motherfuckers over the last 8 years. Like close motherfuckers who thought they knew me. Y'all know me. Y'all, and I realize when people be thinking that they know you and shit, they may. but they only know what you express. They don't know what your imagination holds. And there's a lot of times that I can't. There's lots of shit that I can't say to people because I know your imagination doesn't hold it. I know your imagination doesn't hold it, but your imagination will perceive it in a way that it's like, you feel me? Only through the lens that you can see it. You feel me? I had somebody, because I gave up religion, right? I had a motherfucker ask me. They said, "Will you take the mark of the beast?" The fuck, nigga, that shit ain't real. That shit's not real. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we were riding one day, and they said, "What would happen if we just started floating right now?" What you mean floating? I said, "I'm not gonna float." Well, I know because you don't, you know what I mean? I'm like, nigga, you're not gonna float either. I'm like, logically, it doesn't make sense. I said, if these are meat suits and they're staying here, how are we gonna float? You see what I'm saying? Because then that's when you start trying to insult my intelligence and try to make it look like I'm stupid because you don't have vision. You feel me? And vision, like I said, is tied to imagination. So what does your imagination hold? And you can't even separate your imagination from fantasy and reality. You don't know what's real and fake anymore. You talking about floating, the sky's cracking. How the fuck is the sky gonna crack? Think about that. Like, do y'all not see how mystical this shit is? But it's all fantasy because it's mythology. And it's mythology of a people who claim to have disappeared that's still in this motherfucker making sure everybody follows the same mythology. We don't give a fuck if you follow the Quran and shit. We don't give a fuck if you follow the other Abrahamic religion. But nigga, you will not go beyond one of these three. You will not. And you will not develop the mentality to understand that these are all mythological things that give you an expression of the self to enhance who you are. No, you're going to believe, you're going to get main character syndrome, and then you're going to believe, not understand, you're going to believe in this shit. Which means as a belief, you're going to create, like, when you believe something, you don't have to see it. I know they say seeing is believing, but when you believe it, you don't have to see it. You will create how it's supposed to be seen in your mind. What does that do to your imagination? What does that do to your imagination? For example, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they was like, they're like, "Yo, I'm a thinker too." You sure? They was like, "Oh, that's why we get along so well. We talk so much." Like, you know, I don't even want to go to that part. I'm glad, and because I didn't say it, I don't have to introduce it. It was in my head. But as we were talking, she was telling me, she said, "You know what? I see why I get you so much because we both thinkers. We not a thinker, baby. We're thinkers, but we don't think the same. And I need you to understand that. I'm able to think at your level, but that's not guaranteed. Just because I'm able to think at your level doesn't mean you're able to think at mine." And I'm not insulting her, calling her stupid or no shit like that because I don't fuck with stupid people. You feel what I'm saying? But when I understand how vision works, when I understand how imagination works, when I understand how certain shit works, you've never, you have not obtained what I have obtained. So therefore, I can only assume that you don't have my vision. We get into a world where we assume everybody has our vision because we diminish the imagination we have. We diminish the things that we have. And then sometimes we try to hype our shit up to make it seem like it's more than what it is around people. Nah, we not. We may both be thinkers, but you don't think like I think. And if you try to match my thoughts, you're going to fuck up your mind and drive yourself crazy. I'm not going crazy. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to lose my motherfucking mind because I know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not trying to get you to, like, I don't have to convince you to see it. And here's one reason, one way that you know whether or not a motherfucker is really in tune and able to actually tap in and do the shit. Pete, when a motherfucker says to you, they're deep into the conversation, they say, "You know what? I mean, I just can't explain it." Shut up. Well, stop trying to explain it because you're not trying to explain it. You're trying to convince me. Anybody who can't explain what it is that they're talking about doesn't know what they're talking about. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. If you get to a point where you can no longer explain to me what the fuck you're talking about, you don't know what you're talking about. This was one of my biggest issues with religion. People thought it was the church and shit. No. Every person in the religion that I'm saying is like, yo, you just gotta have faith. That's not enough. That's not enough. I need you to tell me this thing. I need to know. I need to gain understanding in this. You feel me? When you realize why it was put in place, your vision has to change. And that's one of the things about it. And I'm glad I'm having this video, this episode, because it's bigger than just religion. It's bigger than just everything. You got to respect your vision. We often talk about it on social media in limited context. They be like, yo, you can't expect everybody to see your vision. Do you know why nobody can see your vision? Because they're not you. They're not you. That's the secret sauce. That's the code. You were put here specifically to go through the shit you went through so you can have the vision you have. Why the fuck are you diminishing that shit? Nobody's supposed to see the world the way that you see the world. But you. It's your purpose in this motherfucker is to figure out how to get people to see the world. Not like you do in a coercive way, but to make people see why you see the world that way. Now, this isn't to say people please and be friend and go above and beyond. No, be comfortable enough in expressing why you see the world your way. Just seeing is just that. Bars. But I'm not trying to tell you. This is why I always say, fact check me. This is why I always say, assume that I'm lying with everything that I'm saying. Because for me, I've learned that that's what life is about. It's about me using my vision to create the life that I feel comfortable with. And when people have questions about it, this is my life. I can't change that shit. I wouldn't want to. I'm not ashamed of my shit because of the vision it gave me. Now, as I developed and as I learned, I know that I use my vision for wrong shit sometimes. I saw the wrong shit because I wasn't understanding of what vision was. You feel me? Nobody truly explained to me how important vision was in regards to your imagination. Nobody explained to me how important imagination was. You know what they did about imagination? They told me you're too old. I started studying because I was trying to figure out what I was saying. They gave reality and said that you're too old to have imagination at some point. You know, the reason why a lot of motherfuckers be thinking, yo, their inner child is, no, your imagination is dull. Your inner child stopped being attuned in this world to absorb the imagination. That's the explorer in you who is absorbing imagination right now, who's developing and building imagination. You're not supposed to stop having an imagination. You're supposed to separate the fantasy from the reality of your imagination. We enhance the fantasy. You feel what I'm saying? This is why when we get in relationships and shit, we get into relationships based off fantasy, not reality. When we get in lifelong shit, it's off of fantasy, not fucking reality, because we don't pay attention to imagination the right way. We don't use imagination for reality anymore. Because we don't know that imagination is something that is tied to reality just because of the word itself. Therefore, if we don't know that our imagination is tied to fantasy versus reality, we don't know what our vision is. I can't see that. I can't see that. This is why a lot of us gotta have faith and hope and shit. Because we don't trust what we can and can't see. We don't know if what we can and can't see is real. This is why they teach you just gotta have faith. Because faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead because that's what separates the fantasy from the reality. Again, if they would have been teaching you motherfuckers that this shit is a mythological book that has to be broken down into mythology, ritual, and allegory so where you can understand what the allegory is, you start to make sense of the very information that you're given. You tell a motherfucker faith without works is dead, they think, oh, I just got to go do something in between time. No, faith without works is dead because faith without works faith and works separates fantasy from reality, which means faith is tied to what? I don't be just bullshitting when I say these motherfuckers can't separate fantasy from reality because I'm not just pointing the finger saying this is what y'all can't do. I'm saying this is what I couldn't do when I was in the motherfucker. Faith is a motherfucker, but it's initiated phase into belief. So again, my imagination is different, so therefore I have a different vision, so I can see different shit. But the beauty of the way in which I can see what everybody else sees. Only because of the vividness of my imagination, only because of what I'm willing to learn. I'm not special, y'all. I'm not special. I'm not a unicorn. I'm not a motherfucking once in a lifetime anomaly. No shit like that. No, I happen to be a person because something that I've learned is like when it comes to psychology and mental health, you can change. You can change it. They got us believing that like, yo, we're gonna be the same like the full duration of our life. It's all energy. Should you choose to? You feel me? I did one of those Carl Jung tests and shit, and it broke me down to a rational mastermind and shit, right? And so with it breaking me down to a rational mastermind, I was like, that's interesting. But as I'm looking through the test, now rational mastermind is like there's only like 1% of the whole world or some shit like that, or 2% or some shit like that. Either way, out of 8 billion people, come on, bro. It seems like when you look at numbers like that, you be like, damn, 1%, you're a rarity. No, nigga, I'm not a fucking rarity, bro. Out of 8 billion people, what is 1%? The fuck? It's 8 million motherfuckers, bro. That's a lot of people. There's no that's not an anomaly. That's not an anomaly. Anomaly is one motherfucker. Sometimes we get caught up in the number one and we forget about the percentage side. Nigga, that's one motherfucker, bro. Like, the fuck. Still 7,999,999 motherfuckers like that. But even deeper than that, as I'm taking the test, I'm looking at it. I'm like, yo, this is a relative test. This is based off how I feel right now in this moment. This is based off who I am in this moment. I change every moment. We all change every moment, every second, every point of our lives. You feel me? You can be who you are at this particular moment. You can go outside and see something that'll completely alter your reality. Hell, on some real shit. I love y'all to life, and I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Some of y'all are not the same people y'all were when y'all first started listening to my podcast. I didn't coerce you. I didn't manipulate you. I didn't do shit. You know why? Because I always gave you the information. I told you to go fact check it. I told you to go look it up. But a lot of y'all are not the same motherfucker y'all was when y'all first started listening to my podcast. A lot of y'all are not the same motherfucker y'all was when y'all started reading my books. A lot of y'all ain't the same. You know why? Because your imagination changed, which therefore changed your vision. I'm gonna put it on. I should have did this at the very beginning, but I'm gonna put it in a more simplistic way. Check this out. When you buy a new car, you see your car everywhere. Did you see your car everywhere before? No. Now you want to, oh, everybody got my car. No, nigga, now it's in your imagination. It had no reason to be in your imagination, therefore it had nowhere to be where? In your vision. Therefore you don't see it. You feel me? Imagine, this is what alignment is. Now we're going to get real mystical and woke as we try to wrap this thing up, but this is what alignment is. This is what that spiritual shit is. This is what the law of attraction is. This is what all of these things are that are trying to get you, that they've commercialized, but they won't tell you the secret sauce to. If you write it down, it'll come to you. You can't write down. You can write down all the shit you want to. If it's not in your imagination, you still never see it. Goals are meaningless without imagination. Goals are meaningless without imagination. I'm not saying don't set goals. I'm saying set goals that are within things that are in your imagination that you know how to do. Now, I don't know how to do certain things. Okay, cool. Figure it out. What am I lacking? What am I missing? Then I can create the goal, because after the goal, I can create the plan. You feel me? One thing my mama used to always say to me, I don't know if she knew that this is what she was saying. I don't know if it was just, her cliche speaking, but she said, make sure you got a goal, a plan, and a vision. A goal, a plan, and a vision. Now that I'm hearing it, I'm learning that she said them out of order in a way, because that's the string she always say. I'm just making sure you got a goal, a plan, and a vision. Vision shouldn't come last. Vision creates the goal, goal creates the plan. You see what I'm saying? I'm not shitting on her saying, oh, she had it wrong and shit like that. So that's why I don't know what's in her mind, but I know that's what she told her son. You always got to have a goal, a plan, and a vision. And as I'm expanding on this episode and shit, your imagination is what helps shape your vision. Your vision is what builds your goals, and your goals helps create your plans. You motherfuckers be having goals and you can't formulate a plan because you have no vision. And you have no vision because there's no imagination tied to the reality that you want to create. So when they tell you, write down your goals, every time they tell you to write down your goals, what do you write down? What you want to happen. What you want to happen. No, you have to write down what you know is true. I'm giving y'all all of the gems right now at the end. Bro, this secret sauce. Secret sauce, let it marinate, baby. Let it marinate. When people ask me how do I manifest what I manifest and shit, I only write down what I know is true. My goals aren't based on what I want in life. My goals are based off of what I know is true. I can make a plan when I know it's true. How you make a plan off something that you want if you don't have any knowledge about it? Ooh, I want to get $1 million. I know people right now that say I want to get 6 figures. I'm like, how much is that a day? What? I want to make 100,000 a year. What are you talking about? Okay, nigga, how much is that a day? Now, when you want to make 100,000 a year, you have to find a job to do that. When you know how much it is a day, now you know how to go through the executed plans to make a certain amount of money a day to generate that a year. That's where the problem comes in, because you mean I got to do the same thing every single day? Now there's a different level of stress. Entrepreneurs have a different level of stress because we have plans, because we have vision. That's what separates entrepreneurs from the employee. The employee just wants the motherfucking money. The entrepreneur wants their plan executed. They want to produce the results from the executed plan. There's levels to this shit. When you be telling motherfuckers, yo, y'all could be not like, that's one of the things that fucked up the community so bad. Quit your job and do this shit. Y'all didn't factor in that motherfuckers just wasn't entrepreneurs, yo. Motherfuckers didn't have the knowledge base or the imagination to create a vision that would lead to the goals that create the plans that they need. So you was like, yo, buy my course. And that's why a lot of courses and shit was moving the way that they was moving and shit. Like, because the course wasn't teaching you shit. You feel me? The course wasn't teaching you in a way. A lot of the people weren't actually doing what they were doing. They were getting paid off of the courses, and it looked like they knew what they were talking about. They were giving you the information that they were still studying, not the experiences that they were applying. I'm taking a dramatic pause for that, because that's what got a lot of motherfuckers tied up in Forex and shit. Y'all weren't dealing with the people who had the vision behind Forex. Y'all were dealing with the people who had the vision behind some money. This is why they'll tell you, hey, yo, set your alerts. We'll send you some alerts. But remember, it's risky. Nigga, we don't know what the fuck gonna happen. This is one of the reasons why I'm like, I can't drop my prices because I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm not about, this ain't hope for me, nigga. I got the vision, my nigga. I got the vision for this. So that's why I can set the goal and I can make the plan every single day. Everybody can't do that shit because everybody ain't got the imagination for this. I have the nation of images tied to trading and investing. Now, granted, do I know shit about P&E? Yeah, I do know about P&E ratio. Do I know shit about, like, you feel me? Let me see something that I don't know. See how hard that is? See how hard it is to talk about what you don't know? It's tied to imagination. Now I'm trying to draw on something that I don't know. Okay, all right, I'm gonna say it like this. I don't know about stock companies. I don't know about the employee. I don't know how many employees a company got. I don't know what they did last quarter. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit because I can read it in the markets. I can read it in the charts. You feel me? If you want to know what the motherfucker did fourth quarter and shit, all you got to do is divide the monthly. All you got to do is divide the yearly candle up into 3 months. Yeah, the quarters. Yeah, 3 months a quarter. So all you got to do is divide the shit up into 3 months. What happened in the last 3 months? The candles went down. There's my answer. I don't give a fuck about that little dot and shit. I don't give a fuck about the earnings and shit. I don't care. The markets have already told me what the fuck is gonna happen, so I can anticipate what's gonna go forward. I have a different experience with this shit. Therefore, my imagination is built different. My shit doesn't all come from books. I got books. I read books. I've been reading books from the beginning, but at the same time, I'm like, nigga, at some point, a book is only gonna give me another motherfucker's expression. I still have to have their experience in order to see what they talking about. You ever notice how when you read these self-help books, they always say you go back and you read the second one again, you read it again, and then you get more out of it the first time? You know why? Because you went and did some shit, and now you came back, and now you have experience to see what they're showing you. You can see what they're talking about now because you have the experience to see what they're talking about. You feel me? Now your vision allows you to see it because you now have the imagination tied within the nation. Now you have the imagination of all of the accumulated shit that's now stored in your mind. When people tell me, like, I hear a lot, yo, you got a good ass memory. No, I don't. No, I don't. I just have a lot of experience. There's a difference. I don't have to remember this shit. It's here. Like, it's in my imagination, baby. It's not something I have to remember or recall. I'm able to rattle it off so fast because it's in my imagination. Therefore, it's in my vision. I see this shit. So when it's time, for example, when it's time to have these podcast episodes and shit, I get to see what I'm about to talk about first. You feel me? Motherfuckers be like, oh, you're a seer. You got the juice. You got the sauce and shit like that. We can all be whatever it is that we could all be anything in this world if we would just expand our imagination and know some shit. Seers, steer that what they don't teach you. Like when you look at the past, when you look at the oracles and the prophets and shit, these motherfuckers were the smartest motherfuckers in the area. These was the most knowledgeable motherfuckers in the area. People be thinking, oh, I go to you for wisdom. How do you obtain wisdom? Nigga, experience. You can't give me wisdom without having any experience, motherfucker. You think this shit, like, this is why we be thinking shit is divinely orchestrated and shit. It's like, yo, this is why I be trying to tell y'all. It's been telling y'all all along. Deities are the highest conceptualizations of the mind. They're the highest conceptualization of the mind. They have gotten us so wired and so hit to being caught up in some bullshit that we can't even see the reality no more. Do you feel how deep it is to know how tainted you have become based off of your imagination being stripped away from you? So much so your imagination is programmed through entertainment to go in and hold the mind. People be like, yo, you be reaching, yo, and shit. I look at the etymology, you be reaching. I don't be reaching because I know you didn't look up the etymology. You want to sound like you argue with me, nigga. You can't entertain and mint, nigga. Go in and hold the mind, my nigga. Hey, you can look at it however you want to, my nigga. But then when you say it's only entertainment, that means if it's only entertainment, that's the quintessential piece to get your imagination wired. Our imaginations are fueled by what entertains us. Your nation of images is created and developed by what entertains you, not what bores you. What entertains you. You feel me? Tying it back, I don't know if I would mention this in a previous episode or if I was just talking about it on social media, but there was a motherfucker who was talking about hoes. There was a post about hoes and shit. And the motherfucker said, soon as the hoes came out in droves, they started talking about the times when they were hoes. My bad. I'll get serious. But look, soon as the hoes came out in droves and started talking about the times that they was hoes, they was like, dude came and commented and was like, see, if this doesn't make you fear women, I don't know what does, or some shit like that. I said, so you think women are hoes? The entertainment that you're continually consuming has programmed your mind and created your imagination so where you can't separate a woman from a hoe. Me, I don't fuck with hoes. Appreciate them? Of course. Do I fuck with them? No. Can I spot them? Yes. The fuck? I be confused. I'm like, how you not know she a hoe? I get it. Motherfuckers want to dress like hoes and say, don't treat me like one. All right, cool. Call it what you want. The presentation is the presentation. You may not be a hoe, but at the same time, I'm going to assume you're a hoe from what? My imagination, which creates my vision. I can't see your soul. I don't know what's on the inside. I know right now you got on some apple bottom jeans. Nah, I ain't gonna say that because that was a good ass song. Oh, I just seen this post. This dude was like, this woman, she came in with like a negligee on and some jeans and like her ass was out. Like she did a 360 and shit. Like, I mean, her ass was out. You can see her ass crack and shit like through the negligee and all of that. And she asked, dude, what we gonna do? He said, first I'm gonna take you to the crib or to a hotel or something first, and then we're gonna go out and go eat or something and do whatever you wanna do. She was like, you gonna spend some money? He was like, no, I ain't spending no money on you. Like, the fuck? And he was like, she said, do I really look like that? She said, I'm a respectable woman. He said, hey, I just gotta gauge it. This is what it is. A lot of people want you to see their soul based on what they present to you, not realizing or factoring in what another motherfucker's imagination is. Because nobody cares because they don't even respect the significance of their own imagination. So what images are tied to this look that I'm about to put on? Because that's the vision that that's what people are going to see in me. This whole embrace sexuality shit, it was cool for what it was, but y'all didn't embrace sexuality. Y'all wanted to be hoes. Y'all wanted to look like hoes. Y'all wanted to act like hoes. I want to walk like you and talk like you too. Oh, Jungle Book head ass. Oh, I want to walk like you and talk like you too. Oh my damn. Oh my damn. But that's what it was. When that whole, oh, I'm embracing sexuality and shit, y'all didn't do nothing but just start fucking niggas. Fucking random niggas and shit and trying to make yourself be okay with it. Not realizing what it was doing to your imagination. You were following behind motherfuckers with no imagine. A lot of the people's imagination was that were telling these women to, oh, imagine this. You being encouraged to embrace sexuality as a woman. You being encouraged to embrace sexuality by a woman whose imagination of sexuality is tainted. You ever back to that? You just be thinking, oh, we think the same. Do you really, or are you talking about the same thing right now? Being able to have a conversation utilizing the same words in a specific moment does not mean you think the same as another motherfucker. But because we don't understand the depths of imagination, we don't want to explore people's past. We don't explore people's like, people be like, that was in the past. I know. You think your slate got white clean? No. But again, we're conditioned that we get salvation if we believe in something. Not realizing that the salvation is when you make peace with the things that have created your imagination that have led you to see negative things that have caused you to do negative things. That's what the salvation is. But we think something is like, no, I just don't have to address those things, put my titties out and run. No. So now you're dealing with somebody who's traumatized and seeking revenge on her ex-boyfriend, giving you advice about embracing sexuality. To love yourself, girl, this, that, and the third. She traumatized, homie. Her vision's tainted. And now she's getting you to see what she sees. Brothers, y'all ain't absolved and shit. Y'all ain't absolved. A lot of these dudes that y'all be talking, that y'all be following on the podcast and shit, that y'all be listening to, Red Pill, Med Pill, all of them other goofy motherfuckers and shit, they on the exact same shit. What imagination do they have that is causing them to give you the insight that they have? Why is their vision this way? There's a reason why all of these motherfuckers are against the women. They're mad at the women. And they always got to go back to high school and the Pookies and the Ray Rays. As a Ray Ray, my nigga, I'm telling you, I didn't have that issue. I can tell you stories about, I have good experiences with women. I have bad experiences with women. I had all kind of experiences with women. It's because my imagination is different. I didn't just get played. I was also the player. A lot of these dudes never had the sauce, the juice, the lemon, or the squeeze, my nigga, and they just got it now. I didn't have to glow up. I had to dim my light. I'm saying that with the absolute modesty right now, bro. I never had to glow up. Never. When I started getting attention from women since I was a kid, it was defaulted to me. Since a baby, ooh, I'll be in church, ooh, can I hold him? Ooh, he's this, that, and the 30. So I used to have a lady, her name was Coco, big ass titties. She used to always buy me little teddy bears and shit. She just, as she said, she just loved her some me. I've always gotten attention from women. I didn't have a glow up, nigga. I didn't have to earn this shit. Like, what? So I don't have the luxury of giving you advice from a detrimental space. My vision is not solely tied to pain. Yes, I do give the story about my ex, and that was the only heartbreak I had. Of course, when I tell that story, it's like, why you always go back to that same one? Are you paying attention to how many other stories, the good stories that I have with women that is like, y'all don't ask, those are different. You feel me? Those are different. I'm not talking about the same good woman. No, nigga. I've had a lot. But my imagination is different. Even deeper than that. My imagination isn't taken off of a fantasy predicated by another man. My imagination wasn't built off who I wanted to be and couldn't. Imagine how many niggas you following right now, and they're giving you game about the women that they could, like, a lot of them got the jig. They didn't get the game. They didn't know. They know that if they cater to women now, that's how they get it. I don't have to cater to women to get it. I don't have to cater to them at all. You feel me? I'm that raw. This is gonna sound like very, call it what you want. And this ain't even a soul for a conversation. So this is both parties right now can hear this and get the work. I do not have to manipulate, coerce, or do none of that shit. This is why I be telling them I'm celibate by choice, my nigga, because I knew that I needed to finish my work. I had to get my work done before I could be out here dealing with women, because I know how dope I am. I know how raw my imagination is, and I know how great my vision is, and I can make anybody see my vision. It's dangerous when you can do that. It's dangerous because people believe you. People believe you as fact, but I have enough decency to say, I know you don't have my imagination, so go fact check what I'm saying and assume that I'm fucking lying. Then come back and try to prove me wrong. If you can do that, that means you've learned some shit. That means you've learned some shit. And if you can prove me wrong, I learned some shit. Win-win for me, baby. But at the end of the day, you're not just blindly taking what I say. Like, even look at the words. Like, you blindly follow people. That means you have no vision with the people that you're following. Which means you can't have the imagination, because if you did, you wouldn't follow them. Do you dig what I'm saying? Are you fucking with me? Are you following me on this shit? You feel me? These are the breaks. Break it up. I don't know why I'm in the music pocket, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get serious. See, this is my vision. You see the shit? Shit. You see the shit that's in my imagination, yo? And how it can come out at any given time? No matter what it is that I see, I can make a certain connection. This is why I'm able to do that. You feel what I'm saying? Because when I'm in flow like that, I'm seeing all of these things at once, and I'm just picking which parts I want to see. Now, I don't know, I see it out, and it's like, no, my imagination is that vivid that when I'm actually in the flow, I can pull and say, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. But when you listening to your podcast, when you listening to the social media motherfuckers that's saying men ain't shit, bitches ain't shit, this, that, and the third, and why they all giving y'all the same advice? They all say the same shit. The whole divine masculine and all of that shit, like, how many motherfuckers have ever gave you a definition like I gave you? Fuck like I gave you. How many motherfuckers have ever gave you a definition? No, because the divine feminine, she's this, she's that, she's this, that, and third. How do y'all all say the same shit, but none of y'all had defined this motherfucker yet? Y'all are constantly giving descriptions. When I wrote my first book, that's why I did what I did. When I wrote the second book, that's why I did what I did. When I wrote these books, that's why I made sure I defined the shit first, because I don't want no speculation for description. When you're only able to describe some shit, your vision is limited. The vision comes from being able to define it concretely with no changes. Every time you hear me talk about masculinity, what am I going to be talking about? The spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment, the essence of analysis and deconstruction. Everything that comes from that, when I talk about masculinity, is aligned to that. Listen to these conversations. Protect and provide. Men are supposed to lead. Men are supposed to do this. Divine feminine. Oh, she wants to be soft. She's going to let you lead. She's going to do this. What is the fucking definition? Tell me what the definition is. Well, no, fuck that. Tell me what the definition is that applies to the spiritual component of this motherfucker. Well, women are submissive. You can't be submissive when you want to be unleashed. That's a conditional statement right there. You don't realize how deep it is when you say, I will submit to the man who can lead. That means you're not submissive, goofy. Like, if there has to be a certain prerequisite for you to achieve a certain thing, you're not naturally that. You feel what I'm saying? You're not naturally that when there has to be a condition to make you be that. How is it that hard, bro? It's that hard because we get locked up in this. I'm saying it like that because we get caught up in that space when we wonder, how does a motherfucker not see what I see? Now you know. Now you know. This is why the conversation that they're having, like, I just got two homies. They sent me this, the post where Nick Cannon and Dr. Umar were talking about the dress and shit. And they sent me that and said, bro, this is so for a one. I know. It's so for a one, bruh. I wrote that book in 2015. Well, 2016. Was it 15 or 16? 2016. I wrote it the summer because I wrote it while I was at work. And they laughed. As I'm writing it, it's like, oh, you writing a book? No, because look, me, It's not for me. It's not even about being secure in my manhood. I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you. I don't look at certain shit certain ways. So I had this little flower notebook, and then when I say it was a flower notebook, it had like little swirly designs all over the shit. The whole notebook was patterned off of that. It wasn't like just one little flower on the shit. So I guess it was swirly. So I bought it from the hotel gift shop because I was like, I'm about to start writing my book now. I ain't about to wait to go home and get the right notebook. It got to be wide rule page. Fuck that. I'm gonna start right now. If I fill this bitch up, I get another one. So I run into the shit. I say, you know what? I'm gonna write my book. So I'm writing this motherfucker, keeping it in my back pocket and shit, writing in between parking cars and shit like that. So we had a cashier that she came in and shit, because the cashier were typically women and shit. Cause they didn't want them running and shit, having the possibility of slipping and breaking their neck on the ice or whatever the case may be. But nigga, fuck us. All right. But now I'm being dramatic. So as I'm writing, she said, ooh, what's that, your journal? I said, nah, it's my book. Oh, you're writing a book? Ain't that what the fuck I just said? Yeah, I'm writing a book, yo. She was like, what's it about? Masculinity. Oh, I can't wait to read that, blah, 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 and shit like that. So I'm writing this whole book in a pocket, in a zone. You know what I'm saying? And now they're looking like, why you got a flower notebook? It's paper in the bitch. But, nigga, it's paper in the bitch. I don't know what else you want me to say. Like, nigga, I don't give a fuck what's on the outside. It's paper in this bitch, and I can write on the motherfucker. You feel me? I don't like, I get it. Y'all gotta have whatever standards y'all gotta have, but nigga, it's paper in the bitch. You feel what I'm saying? So again, this goes into like, I'm about to segue into a mean flow right after this one. So I'm writing this motherfucking book, and it segues into them asking me, you know, what made you want to write a book? Why not? That's one of the things. When I was in that pocket, when people ask me stupid questions, I ask them the same question back in the negative. So like, why are you doing this? Why not? If you don't have an answer for why not, I'm not going to explain why. On some real shit. A lot of motherfuckers be thinking I'm rude with that shit. They think I'm disrespectful, I'm dismissive. Nah, because I know what you're trying to do. Your vision is not mine. You're trying to get me to show you my vision, and you're trying to see if my vision is something that's sustainable for you. And I don't give a fuck if it's sustainable for you or not. It's already in my imagination, and I'm doing this shit. So when you ask me why, I say, why not? This is why I do that. If you can't give me a valid reason why not that pertains to what's in my imagination, oh, you don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. Because the way in which your vision responds, the way in which your vision allows you to see is going to dictate how you feel. And when I know what you see, I know what you think. Case in point, pause. The speed and efficiency in which a motherfucker could say pause or ayo at something. What is in your imagination? I know I just fucked up a whole reality just now. When niggas be like, yo, why don't you say pause? Because I don't say gay shit, nigga. I don't be thinking about gay shit when I be talking. The fact that y'all think about gay, the fact that gay shit is in your imagination so rooted that your vision sees the moment somebody says something, you gotta say pause like that, nigga, you weird. This is why I be saying you have three types of men. You have homosexual men who like vagina, homosexual men who don't like vagina, and then you have heterosexual men. I'm not shitting on the motherfuckers who gotta say pause and shit, because I get it. That's maybe y'all culture, whatever the case may be. But sometimes you gotta wonder how quick you catch that shit every time. Some of the shit don't even be pause moments. I be like, nigga, really? You had to say that? Like, damn. Damn. What's in your imagination that when you say these string of words, it makes you think about some gay shit? I don't think about gay shit when I be talking. So I don't feel the need to say pause. So I go through a whole conversation and shit, and I be like, what? What did I pause on? Nah, cause you had said, no, you had thought, nigga. Fuck what I said. What did you see? You trying to make me feel bad for what I said when you need to be worried about what the fuck you saw when I said the shit. You feel me? Tying it back, I was mentioning, I think I mentioned before, the guy who was we was in Subway. He like, yo, let me get a 6-inch, no homo. Oh, you thinking about dicks, nigga? They making sandwiches right now, my nigga. You thinking about a dick? Pause. Hey, yo, I love this shit. I love this shit, yo. I love the mind. I fucking love it. That's why I don't give a fuck about what they be teaching and shit. Like, yo, I know the mind for real. I've experienced this motherfucker. So it's like when the motherfucker gotta be in a space where he's like, yo, pause. Hey, I don't pause shit, bro. I don't pause shit because I don't think gay shit. Like the shit that I'm saying, when I'm speaking it, I'm not thinking about nothing gay. I'm not thinking about no nigga. I'm not thinking about fucking no nigga. I'm not thinking about none of that shit. But why are you? No, I'm not just saying like no. What I said, whatever it was, the time in the time in which I said that word instantly, fuck everything. I could have been talking about making $100 million. I could have been talking about making $100 million, and in a string of the conversation, I said, "But you gotta sell sausages, balls, nigga." Of all that I said, you heard sausage and you thought about a dick, nigga. Fuck the money, fuck the bands, fuck the process, fuck all of that shit. You thought about a dick in some way, shape, or form. Whose fault is that? Now we got to really look at pause. Like when you have I think you should stop saying pause. Cause it don't reveal no shit about me. It reveals what's about you. Like what's in your head for it to register that fucking fast, my nigga. The sentence don't even be done. You be like, hey yo, pause. Nigga, pause. How? Y'all laugh this shit off like pause, man. Hey yo, I didn't mean it like that. Nigga, you didn't even mean it. That person caused you to see it that way because you were clearly flowing. That's why you used that choice of words. In your mind, what you saw was not what they just paused. They made you see it because they already saw it. Vision. 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 It's that potent. It's that potent. This is why I always tell people I don't give a fuck about whether you can see my vision or not no more. Because you're going to see it how you choose to see it. Again, the pause example was a great way to start to wrap this up because when you look at it, that's how perception works. You be talking about something and what did they hear? If you have ever been in a conversation with a motherfucker who says pause, that should let you know how motherfuckers communicate for real in real life. They just don't have that trigger to let you know that this is what I heard. Now I'm going to redirect the conversation based off of what I heard to humiliate you and pick on you. And now we change the whole conversation, the context of what we're talking about. Take pause out of that and look at every conversation you've ever had in your life and how it directed and changed just like that. Do you know why? Because what they saw, what you said was what they saw. You feel what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what you said. It matters how they saw it. And are they capable of actually seeing it the way in which you said it? For most, that's a no. This is why when I be having conversations with women and shit, this is one of the reasons why I used to get so many women back in the day. Because I can always see what they were saying. You get me. You understand me. You listen. You listen. I see what you're saying. Shit makes sense sometimes. But I can see what you're saying. Because I have the same vocabulary. I have the same understanding. I have the same knowledge base. And I'm able to see the stories that you're telling me. You feel me? The problem is we get so wrapped up in this world where motherfuckers have to respond instantly to something. They don't process shit. So they only respond from what they just saw out of the words you just said. Now imagine, out of a 10 sentence word, of a 10-word sentence, motherfucker only understood 3 words and they responded to you. What the fuck did you see? Think about it. The fuck did you see? Take it to social media. Motherfuckers see a 10-word sentence and only understand 3 of these words and make a whole caption. And you go back and forth with them. I welcome you to the audience pool. I ain't got time for that bullshit. I know you're not talking about what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm like, that's not even what I'm talking about. Back in the day, like 2015, 16, 17-ish, I will argue with a motherfucker to try to prove my point to say, nah, that's not even what I'm saying. I stopped that shit. And now it's solidified 100% now, but it's like, I don't go back and forth. You don't see what I'm seeing. You're responding to what you saw. And that's not what I saw. That's not the vision I had when I said that. I can't fathom what the fuck you saw. And I'm not trying to, because I got into a point where motherfuckers would literally start arguing with me and they'd be like, oh, we saying the same thing differently. No, we're not. You're coming to terms with the reality that you're finally seeing what I was saying and you don't want to be wrong. You know, we're not saying the same, because if we were saying the same thing differently, you wouldn't have commented. If we were saying the same thing differently, the same thing would have processed in the beginning. Your vision would have saw what I was talking about. It wouldn't have took me to go all the way around to explain the same shit over again for you to say we saying the same thing differently, because we not. You legit don't comprehend what the fuck I'm talking about. And that's okay. You know why? It's not because you stupid. It's not because you're not smart. It's not because of none of that shit. It is simply because you do not have my imagination. And you don't have my imagination because you didn't live my life. And you didn't live my life because you are not me. And that's cool. But because it's cool, that's why your vision is your vision and my vision is mine. And as long as my vision is my motherfucking vision, shut the fuck up. And don't forget to check out Palacafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Palacafe Clothing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. I know I ain't had to go off that hard at the end, but I kind of did. Because that's vision. That's vision. How often in real life do we really use our vision correctly? How often do we understand when our vision is being manipulated? How often do we understand when we have no vision? These are things that are all tied to what? Your imagination. The nation of images that you have. All of the shit that you've experienced in your life, all of the shit that you stored, all of the shit that you put into your mind. That's it. That's your motherfucking vision, homie. That's what predicates how you see. You feel what I'm saying? Some people want to see more. Some people want to see less. Some people don't want to see it all. Some people want to see everything. I never forget when I was in undergrad. Was it undergrad or med school? One or two. I told my homegirl, I said, I'm going to know everything. I said, my goal is to know everything. You can't know everything. Why not? Why is it not possible? Like, why do you say that? Like, when people say shit like nobody's perfect, nigga, why? You feel me? It's cliche shit that's easy to say that's tied to imagination. If I tell you nobody's perfect, why strive for perfection? My perfection ain't for you, nigga. It's for me. I'm perfect. I'm perfect. I know. It hurts people's feelings when they hear me say it all the time. Saying you ain't perfect. I am. I'm perfect, bro. I am perfect. I'm perfect. Magnificent. Magnifico. Whatever word you want to tie to perfect. I am perfection in the fucking flesh personified. I may not be perfect according to your vision, based off your imagination, based off of what you view as the type of man that I am. But when I look at my background, when I look at all the things that I've obtained, when I look at the way in which I apply, I'm perfect, my nigga. You perfect. You may not be perfect to me, but you perfect in your own right if you strive for perfection. They teach you that nobody's perfect because they let you know you're generalized by everybody else. I don't walk to anybody else's drum, nigga. My rhythm dope. The fuck? I am perfect. I am perfect. And the more I enhance my own imagination, the better my vision gets, which gives me a clearer vision, and I get more perfect within myself. Because at the end of the day, what are you measuring yourself against? Like, they got, for example, the Kobe, Jordan, LeBron thing. Who's the GOAT? Like, y'all are comparing niggas y'all couldn't beat. The fuck? Like, you feel me? They're all perfect. Out of all of them, I'm gonna say when you really look at it on paper, fuck the championships, fuck the rings. LeBron is the highest personification of perfection out of all of them. Jordan smoked cigars. You feel what I'm saying? So he limited his own body. You know what I'm saying? LeBron is doing everything to make sure his body stays pristine on a consistent basis. That's perfection. Y'all want to look at the stats and shit like that. To be in this age and still be able to do it? Kobe was a different level of perfection. You feel what I'm saying? I'm going to say Kobe's a different level of perfection. And I know this seems like I'm shitting on Jordan. No, not in any way, shape, or form. But Jordan's perfection was different. To get cut from his basketball team and to go on to be one of the greats, it's different. For Kobe to be able to push through pain, tearing Achilles and shit like that, all of that shit, like, you feel what I'm saying? And still go through the process, that's perfection. That's perfect. That's what they don't want to tell you about perfect. That's what they don't want to tell you about perfection. Is tied to your vision and your imagination and what you view as perfect. For me, perfection is Paulo Coffey. For me, perfection is being able to mix and master songs. Is being able to keep people engaged on social media, run ads in the background. It's like, that's perfection for me. I'm perfect. I do all that. And I do it in such an efficient way that I don't have to necessarily think too hard about it. That's perfection. Perfection is your own vision. And wow. Perfection is the manifestation of your own vision through your goals, your plan, and your plan being executed successfully. I just gave y'all a whole gem, and it was a gem that hit me in a whole different reality. What you put into your imagination dictates your vision. Your vision helps you create your goals, and your goals help you write your plans. Your plans executed creates perfection. You're not perfect because you don't want to be. It's not that you don't know how. It's not that you can't. You don't want to be perfect. Because to be perfect means that you take what's in your imagination and gives you a